You're watching Mc&T Sports Report on CHCO-TV. And now, here's one guy with a new pair of glasses and one who you've never seen before, Joe and Mark?
I'm Joe Ticotsky down in New Haven, Connecticut.
And I'm not Evan.
And you're watching episode 59 of Mc&T Sports Report, and he is definitely not Evan. He's my college roommate, Mark Aznavourian, and he's out in Los Angeles, California, a mere 3,310 miles from the CHCO studios, filling in for Evan, who's unfortunately been absolutely swamped at work lately with golf tournaments and everything else. Mark, thanks so much for pinch hitting for the big guy.
Well, Joe, first of all, thank you for having me on. I watch this show religiously. I love it. And I hope I can do Evan and you proud by filling in. I know those are big shoes to fill. So, but thanks for having me on.
Yeah. Mark and I,
By the way, I have to say, I love your glasses.
Oh, yeah. Well, 2-for-1 sale. Thank you. Mark and I, for our viewers that are curious, met almost 44 years ago on the UConn campus as dorky freshmen, and we're now a pair of dorky guys in their 60s. And if you didn't know, Mark is the voice that you do hear on all of our show openings, so we appreciate the work he does there.
I find that the weakest part of the show, that intro.
Classic. Well, I was just up in St. Andrews in August for our basketball camp, and once again, the town did not disappoint. And Mark, you actually lived fairly close to St. Andrews at one point.
I used to go to St. Andrews. When I lived in Boston, I made the smart move of buying a weekend home in Pembroke, Maine, which is just a cozy 6-hour drive from Boston. But so once I got up there, I would go across the border to St. Stephen and St. Andrew, and that's kind of where the action was and where the fun was. You know, there wasn't much happening on the Maine side, so I loved it there. It's a beautiful country.
It is. And while I was up here, it was nice. I got together with Evan and some other friends from the area down at the Right Whale Pub at the Algonquin. And one thing I forgot about Evan, that guy can certainly throw down the hops and barley. Holy cow. My goodness. But it was good seeing him. And I'll be back up in St. Andrews in early September for the wedding of Amelia Welch, a former player at SJDA. And you may also remember her. She did the openings for our show before Mark threw her off.
Well, that's exciting. Well, congratulations to her. And well, actually, you're going to be on the wedding. Will you be bringing up some of your famous Connecticut dance moves for the party?
I just may break out my famous stand in the back of the room and lean up against the wall dance if everyone's lucky. All right, let's move right on to the music spotlight. I have a group from St. John's, Newfoundland called Rum Ragged, and they have what I'll call modern East Coast folk music. So check out their latest called A Thing About Fish and head to rumragged.com to find out more about them. And a quick programming note, if you're watching CHCO live or online at CHCO.TV, we've been given our Wednesday night slot back. So now we're on Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 8 p.m. and Thursday at 7:30. And those are all Atlantic time. You can catch the show anytime on the CHCO YouTube channel. But enough of the small talk. We have a fun segment coming up for this, the final show of our 4th season on the air. As mentioned earlier, last month I was up for a week-long Basketball by the Sea camp, and we took time out one day to interview a few of the campers and get their thoughts on the pressing issues of the day. And that entertaining bit is coming up after this short break. You're watching Mc&T Sports Report on CHCO-TV in St. Andrews. In early August, our Basketball by the Sea camp returned to St. Andrews. This year's camp was held at NBCC, and we welcomed in over 60 campers. And I took some time out to interview 4 of those campers and ask them some lighthearted questions, and we hope you'll enjoy the following segment. We have Paisley Coyne from St. Stephen, and we're going to ask her some questions. Welcome, Paisley.
Hello. All right, we're going to give you some geography questions. First, we're going to talk about camp. Are you having fun at camp?
Yes.
What is your favorite part of camp?
Probably just like playing basketball.
Okay. You know what my favorite part of camp is? The bathroom breaks. We go to the washroom. Okay. All right, we're going to do some geography. What state borders Connecticut, Rhode Island or Maryland?
Rhode Island.
Very good, you got that one correct. Which province borders New Brunswick, Quebec or Saskatchewan?
I'm gonna guess Quebec.
Very good, 2 for 2. All right, now we're going to ask you your opinion. There are no right or wrong answers on this. Which musician do you like more, Taylor Swift or the late Gordon Lightfoot?
Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
How about Drake or the Tragically Hip?
Drake.
I had a feeling that. All right, now, if it was between Taylor Swift or Drake, who do you like more?
Taylor Swift.
Okay. How about Taylor Swift versus Nickelback?
Taylor Swift.
You've never heard of Nickelback, have you? Okay, they're not very good. All right, sports-wise, do you like hockey more or basketball?
Basketball.
Okay, then we have a basketball question. If they played a game of one-on-one basketball, who would win, Barbie or Ken?
Barbie.
She does have a good crossover dribble. Okay, you're doing very well so far. We have another couple questions, then we'll let you out of here. We're going to finish up with a Canada versus USA question. It's a coffee question. What do you like more, Dunkin' Donuts or Tim Hortons coffee?
Tim Hortons, because I've never had Dunkin' Donuts.
Well, we have a little treat for you because you're going to taste test before you give that answer. Watch out, it's very hot. Take a sip of the Dunkin' Donut coffee first. Well, don't spill it, don't spill it. Okay, all right, now we're going to go with the local boys, Tim Hortons. Take a sip of that.
Good. I'm just gonna, take it.
Oh, so you're keeping it for yourself. Okay, all right, so you like the Tim Hortons a little bit more?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, we thank you very much, but before you leave, we have a parting gift. We have a hard candy from the Picket Fence Motel, so you can have that during snack time.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
We have Gunnar Skoji from Johnson's Settlement. Gunnar, welcome to the show.
Hi.
Okay, we're going to ask you some camp questions. First, are you having fun at camp?
Yeah.
And what is your favorite part of camp?
Probably the 4v4s.
Okay, that's fun. You know what my favorite part is?
What?
When camp's over. I'm just kidding. I really enjoy camp. Okay, we're going to ask some geography questions. Which state is next to Connecticut, Rhode Island or Maryland?
Maryland?
Good guess, but it was Rhode Island. That's a tough one. Which province is next to New Brunswick, Quebec or Saskatchewan?
Quebec.
Very good, very good. You're on a roll. We're gonna have some music questions. If you had a choice between these two people, who do you like better, Taylor Swift or the late Gordon Lightfoot?
Probably Taylor Swift.
Okay. How about if it was between Drake or the Tragically Hip?
I haven't heard of any of them, so probably Drake.
Okay, we'll go with Drake. And if it was Taylor Swift versus Nickelback, who would you pick?
Nickelback.
You like Nickelback, huh? Have you heard of Nickelback?
Yeah.
Okay, good, good. And now we'll get a sports question. Do you like hockey more or basketball?
Basketball.
Good answer. And now another basketball question. If it was a game of one-on-one basketball, who do you think would win, Barbie or Ken?
Ken.
Okay, Ken. Our last person said Barbie, so. All right, and we'll finish you up with a little Canada versus USA question. If you had a choice between Dunkin' Donuts coffee or Tim Hortons, what do you think you'd pick?
Probably Tim Hortons.
But before you really give your last answer, we're going to have you taste test them. Watch it. It's very hot. Take the lid off and just take a little sip of the Dunkin' Donuts. Don't spill it. Don't spill it. Take a little sip. Okay. Put the lid back on. And now we'll go with the Tim Hortons. I'll take that. Ow, that is hot. What do you think?
Dunkin' Donuts.
Ah, we got a convert here, Dunkin' Donuts. Gunnar, thank you so much for being on the show.
Welcome. You're welcome.
We have Mason Smith from Logan. Mason, welcome to the show.
Hi.
Okay, we have a couple questions. First, are you having fun at camp?
Yeah, I like it, and
What's your favorite part of camp?
to come down, play basketball, have fun, and play around.
You know what my favorite part of camp is?
What?
When we get paid at the end. All right, we're going to ask a geography question. Which state is next to Connecticut, Rhode Island or Maryland?
What was the question again?
What state is next to Connecticut, Rhode Island or Maryland?
Is it Maryland?
Unfortunately, it's not. It's Rhode Island, but good guess, good guess. All right. Which province is next to New Brunswick, Quebec or Saskatchewan?
Quebec.
There you go. You got your Canadian geography. Music-wise, if you had to choose between Taylor Swift or the late Gordon Lightfoot, who would you choose?
My sister likes Taylor Swift, and I always listen to it because she always listens to it, so Taylor Swift maybe?
Okay, we can't sell anyone on Gord yet. How about if you had to choose between Drake or the Tragically Hip?
Drake.
Okay. Now, if it was between Taylor Swift or Drake, who would you pick?
Maybe Taylor Swift or...
Okay, still going with Taylor Swift.
More albums about Taylor Swift then.
And then the last one for the final, if it was Taylor Swift or Nickelback, who would you choose?
Taylor Swift.
Have you ever heard of Nickelback?
No.
Okay. They're not very good. All right, we're going to give you a sports question. Do you like hockey more or basketball?
Basketball. I never played hockey before.
You're Canadian and you've never played hockey.
Nope.
Okay, you may be deported before you know it. And we'll give you a basketball question. If it was a game of one-on-one, who do you think would win, Barbie or Ken?
I didn't watch the movie yet, but maybe Ken? I don't know.
Okay, Ken's got a little bit of a height advantage there, so he may be, but it'll be a good game. All right, and the last question we'll ask you, it's a little Canada versus USA. If you had to choose between Dunkin' Donuts coffee or Tim Hortons, which do you think you'd like better?
Maybe Tim Hortons.
Well, before, we're going to have a little taste test, so you can pick up this cup here try the Dunkin' Donuts first. Watch it, it's hot. It is hot. Take off the lid gently. There you go. Oh, he's going with a little sip there. So you can take a little sip out of it. Yeah, you can that's fine. You can just lean it back. You can hold it back, take a little sip. Okay, remember what that's like, and now put that back down and try the good old Tim Hortons, and we'll see what you really think. You can take the whole lid off if you want. Take a little sip. What? All right, what do you think? Which one's better?
Maybe Tim Hortons.
Okay, we're going with the Tim Hortons. That's it's tough to get the Dunkin' Donuts fans here.
Same a little bit, but
Okay, all right. Well, thank you very much for coming on the show. You're a great guest.
thank you.
And now we have Lena Pichet of Rosse. Welcome to the show.
Hello.
All right, going with the wave here. All right, are you having fun at camp so far?
Yeah, camp is awesome. I love it.
Okay, what's your favorite part of camp?
Probably just having the ball in my hand for 3 hours and developing my skills.
That is good. Do you know what my favorite part of camp is?
What?
The washroom breaks. I love those.
Okay.
Okay, no, I'm just joking. Bad jokes. All right, we're going to give a geography question. Which state is next to Connecticut, Rhode Island or Maryland?
Rhode Island?
Very good answer. Very good answer. Now we'll give you Canadian geography. Which province is next to New Brunswick, Quebec or Manitoba?
Quebec.
Very good. Have you ever been to Quebec?
No, but I really would like to go.
Okay, it's a very nice province. Now we'll give you some music questions. If you had to choose, say you're on a deserted island and you can bring one person's music with you. If it was a choice between Taylor Swift or the late Gordon Lightfoot, who would you pick?
I don't know who late Gordon Lightfoot is, so Taylor Swift.
You've never heard of Gordon Lightfoot? No. Oh my God, these kids these days. All right, if you had to choose between Drake or the group The Tragically Hip, who would you pick?
Probably Drake.
Okay. Can't sell anyone on that. And how about Taylor Swift or Drake?
Drake.
Ooh, Drake. All right, so we'll go. This would be the finals, like if it was a competition. Drake or Nickelback?
Drake.
Okay, that's probably a good answer. Not a lot of Nickelback fans out of there. Favorite sport, hockey or basketball?
Well, I played hockey when I was younger, but I wasn't very good at it, so I'd say basketball.
Okay, nothing wrong with that. Now, if it was a basketball question, say there was a game of one-on-one, big crowd watching, a lot of excitement, national television. If it was a one-on-one game between Barbie and Ken, who do you think would win?
Probably Barbie, because she can be an astronaut, a pilot, she can be anything.
That's very good. She can switch on a dime. All right, before we let you out, we're gonna have a little coffee taste test. Are you a coffee drinker?
No.
Well, you're about to become one. Have you heard of Dunkin' Donuts?
Yeah.
Okay. We have a cup of Dunkin' Donuts and Tim Hortons. So carefully get the Dunkin' Donuts cup there on the left. And watch it. It's hot. It is hot. You can take the lid off and take a little sip of it. Let us know. Take a sip. Don't give us the answer yet. Okay, you can put it back down. Well, don't spill it. Now pick up the Tim Hortons. There's some drama here. Okay, your final decision, Dunkin' Donuts or Tim Hortons? Lena Pichet.
They both tasted disgusting, but I like Tim Hortons, so Tim Hortons.
Okay, Tim Hortons. Now, we have, and I forgot the other guests to give, one I offered it to. We have a parting gift. You can either take the hard candy from the Picket Fence Motel, or, and this one is probably worth a little bit more, these two, you could open it up. Those two retainers that someone lost on the first day that nobody has claimed yet. We have a nice pair of retainers here. So we'll give you the hard candy later on. It's delicious. Thank you so much for being on the show. You did a great job.
Thanks.
Welcome back to Mc&T Sports Report on CHCO-TV. Mark, what'd you think of those camper interviews?
They were all great, but I had a personal favorite, and that was Gunner, because he's a big fan of Nickelback. So,
Gunner is classic. He's a
Yeah.
classic.
But one other thing, even more interesting, was the fact that I could see, after 44 years, kind of your bald spot in some of those shots. And
Yeah.
I have that too, but I will not show it on the air. So
Yeah, I made the mistake in the first couple of interviews when I leaned over to pick up the cups of coffee, and I was like, oh my goodness.
I know.
But yeah, so I had the kids do it the last few, but the kids were all good sports. And I might add, they were pretty smooth in front of the camera, but not as smooth in front of the camera as Evan was in his recent CHCO interview about the Canadian men's mid-amateur golf championship held recently at the Algonquin. So let's take a look at that interview.
156 top-level golfers aged 25 and over are competing in the Canadian Men's Mid-Amateur Championship at the Algonquin Golf Course in St. Andrews this week. The 4-day tournament is considered the second biggest amateur competition in Canada. The event comes on the heels of the Algonquin being named one of the top 20 golf courses in Canada by Score magazine.
Yeah, so this is the Canadian Mid-Amateur Championships, so it's men over 25, so they've all qualified as provincial events that they've gone through to get here. We've got about 12 guys in New Brunswick, 3 of them are playing on Team MB, so you have the actual Mid-Am tournament itself, which is 4-round individual stroke play. Within that, there is the Mid-Master, so that is over 40, and then as well as the Interprovincial Championship. So you have the provinces teams made up of 3 where they play against each other.
There are also a few Charlotte County golfers playing in the high-profile championship.
We have a few members that are playing here. Steve Esty, that everybody knows, he's been playing around Charlotte County for quite a while. He's out in the field. Mike Fernie, who just moved here a couple years ago, he's playing as well. And then as well as this year's club champion, Scott Weatherhead.
Great job by Evan there, but he's slowly catching up to me in the gray hair department. So I don't know if it's by osmosis or what, but
I don't think he's going to catch you.
as you know, Mark, we have a segment at the end called shout outs. So I have a pair, and then I'll let you give one. First, I want to give a special shout out to the 4 coaches who worked our basketball camp last month. From left to right in the picture, you're seeing are Casey and Mercedes, who both came up from Connecticut with me and pretty much slept the entire 7-hour, 27-minute ride. And we also had Kara and Kaylee, both from the St. John, New Brunswick area. Kaylee is actually the varsity girls coach at RNS. They all did a great job and it proved that Americans and Canadians can indeed get along, at least while working under a tyrannical camp director. And then second shout out, this one to our man Jonesy, the Toronto Raptors radio announcer, Paul Jones, who spoke to the kids the last morning of our camp after pretty much driving straight through from Toronto the day before. He was in for the Archie golf tournament at the Algonquin, which supported the world's oldest basketball court project down in St. Stephen. And he is one special human being, and we are glad to have him. All right, Mark, here's your chance. What do you have for a shout out?
Well, since this is my maybe first and only time to give a shout out on the show, I better give it to my wife, Emily, and my daughter, Val, and or I'll never hear the end of it. So a shout out to my wonderful family who let me come on and do this. This is a thrill.
They did double the jobs around the yard that you're going to have to do now. So
Exactly.
Well, that's it for episode 59 of Mc&T Sports Report. I'm Joe in New Haven.
And I'm Mark in Los Angeles.
Thanks to Patrick Watt and Florence Mitchell for producing and editing a show that has somehow lasted 4 years. Are the censors even watching anymore? We'll see you towards the end of this month with our 4th anniversary show, which will also serve as the first episode of season number 5. Until then, this is Mc&T Sports Report on CHCO-TV in St. Andrews. This episode is being dedicated to Mike Romano, who recently passed away at age 68 after a courageous battle with cancer. Mike was a friend of mine and a well-known lawyer in the Hartford, Connecticut area. He was also involved in coaching youth basketball throughout his life and always went out of his way to help those in need. Mike was also a big fan of our show, and he would email me comments and suggestions after each episode, and he often talked about how he and his wife, Joanne, wanted to one day visit St. Andrews as he saw how gorgeous an area it was. In one of Mike's last emails to me, he said, "Joe, with your hairline receding, in addition to your different t-shirts that you wear, I think it would be a great idea for you to wear a different hat each episode." I haven't gone that route just yet, but Mike, in your memory, here you go. We'll miss you.